Our first day here, actually, the RCMP called us because of a particular thing that had arisen. So we got baptism by fire on the very first day of our existence. Within the first 6 months of our operation, Canada Immigration began to call us to help with refugee settlement, and so we began that sort of work quite early in our tenure here.
Where? I asked where. He told me, okay, you just go straight to the right and ask where is the chapel. That's it. I am smiling right now, but at that time was terrible. Well, I went and I found, thank God, I found Lane. And now I am glad to know faces, because I know you are supporting this this work here in Canada, here in the airport, and my wife, me, or obviously my kids we want to thank you, all of you. Thank you very much.
Obviously, our clientele, our parishioners are on the move and on the go, but basically many of them we only see briefly for sometimes for an hour or so between flights. That has its obviously disadvantages, but it also has some advantages in terms of people sharing quite quickly some things that they are concerned about. Then about half the time is spent with the airline airport staff, which we do see on a regular basis, even on a daily basis. And he was involved very early and became our first official volunteer. And then his wife Shirley came on board, and then within the first year we had a good number of volunteers. From the very beginning, we determined that we would really like to have a warm, personable, friendly face to welcome people as they come into the chapel. So we rely on about 45 volunteers to help us with that.
I'm a general information person. Other individuals come as refugees and they may need lodging overnight. I basically take their information, and if Lane is either on a walkabout or I have his cell phone, so I'll phone him and tell him who I have, and he may ask me to phone a certain lodge.
I'm just there to make sure that if anyone needs help, that there's someone physically present, and there have been numerous cases where there's people who've either missed their flights or they want to claim refugee status and they need a place to stay before they get to a shelter. So in that case, we would set up beds for them downstairs. The Fairmont Hotel has been great. Every time I take someone there, they let them shower for free. So that's been really nice as well, so they can get cleaned up if they've had a long journey.
No, I just feel very privileged, and I count it a pleasure to get to be a part of this work that does touch so many lives, sometimes in only a small way, but sometimes in very big ways. And I'm just happy to be here.
We started using associate chaplains about 20 years ago, and that has increased quite dramatically in the last about 5 years. One, to give a broader perspective with the different faith groups that we're involved with, but also because of the workload increase.
I retired 10 years ago from active as the Salvation Army, but as a pastor, you never retire. You got to keep going. I think YVR is so blessed to have the chaplaincy service here. A lot of airports have a chapel and a chaplain, but chaplain's hardly ever there unless he's called in. But here we have somebody. Pastor Lane, of course, is on call, and then we have 2 or 3 associate chaplains. There's always somebody here, and people just appreciate it so much.
As an example, one of the things that we get called on, one of our sad duties, is when someone dies on an airplane. And then we have to meet the family and be with them. And most of the people here at the airport do not want that kind of job. But this is where we work well. And any kind of, whether it's fear of flying, whether it's a sad situation that a person is in, we try to be here to help them and meet those needs.
Not long ago, one of the staff approached me when I was going through to the airside and asked if we here at the chaplaincy could help, because one of their staff had just died suddenly, and he was all alone. He lived by himself. He'd been here for years. He was very close to his workmates. And this man said to me, you know, can we have some kind of a celebration? He's got no family, got no friends. Can we do something at the airport? And so over the next few days, the chaplaincy organized for there to be a memorial service for him in 2 different shifts, you know, day shift and evening shift. And just to have folk come and celebrate what this man had done and contributed working here for all those years.
An amazing day, and it carried on from 9 in the morning till about 8 at night. And even the Air Canada girls were coming in and helping. People were offering to help. And Lane did the arrangements. He arranged everything, and the churches sent out cars to pick up these people. And then they would take them to their homes, feed them, and give them a night at their place, and then come bring them back the next morning.
As I said before, having been here at the airport for many years, prior to my now job in the hotel business, understand how well they help people who are stranded. People get stranded with weather, misconnecting flights, whatever. They don't have money. They don't have a place to stay. What we do is give the chaplaincy a group of night stays over the holidays, valid for the month per stay, or the 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after. And what they don't use up then, they can use again at later dates. For those people who get stranded, come and stay at the hotel, complimentary of us, and helps out the agency itself for the work they do.
I take care of the airlines, the government agencies, ground handlers, and I also have, as a luxury, taking care of the chaplaincy. The chaplaincy is like a lifeboat for the airport community. No one ever really understands what the chaplain does until we really need them. A couple of years ago, Lane approached me. There was a choir that was coming to Canada, the Wototo group, I believe, and never had heard this group before. And I know that Lane was not in the marketing business of promoting groups, but we took a listen to him. I went on the website actually to listen to the group. Thought it was amazing. They were just before the Olympics, and the group was just insane. It was so good. The music, the children's energy, the halo around them was amazing. And the funny thing was the children came up and Lane said to the group, "This is David Parson. He's the one who allowed you to play here today." And just the smiles on their faces and just the expressions of what they had achieved here, I think I was ready to take them all home actually for dinner.
Lane Daggett speaking.
Hi, Lane. It's Debbie calling, the public safety officer.
Oh, hi there, Deb. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay, thank you.
That's good. I was just wondering if the chapel would be available this evening. We have a couple, a husband and wife, that they were supposed to travel to Toronto this evening, and her medication, she's been having problems with it, and she's not feeling very well, and the airline's a little reluctant to have her travel, but they don't really have any money to spend for accommodation tonight, so we were hoping that if we could use your bed and keep them up for the night, and then they could travel tomorrow morning at around 7.
Sure, love to do that. Yeah, I can make my way out, probably be there in about 15 minutes, Deb. About twice a week, I get called back to the airport. It was almost on a daily basis for many years, particularly when the refugees were released to us, usually after midnight. Occasionally call to a flight where there's been a death on the flight and not even knowing what the background of the families might be that are also flying with them or who are meeting them and greeting them. So sometimes we have to change perspective quite quickly depending on the cultural and religious background or non-religious background of the person that we are dealing with when a family member has died on a flight. We are a nonprofit society. People make a donation to us, people who believe in what we are doing and the ways in which we are doing it, for which they will get a tax receipt. And so a good portion of what we have to raise for our funding comes from individuals.
The chaplain picks up items from me after 60 days of lost and found items being in my possession. I sort everything out and pass them along to the chaplain for his thrift shop.
We have two wonderful volunteers, Linda and Doug, who man that operation for me. I find it therapeutic to be there on a Friday afternoon.
So now our email list is somewhere around 1,200 people now, and growing every week, and it gets the interest out. Of the things that we receive during the week, we usually find a whole bunch of unusual items that we don't see every week. So we photograph those and put them in the newsletter, so the people reading it see all these things and they think, well, fine, we'll come and try and get that. And so that's how it's grown through the newsletter. Made it a much bigger group now, much wider group with more interests, different interests than before.
Doug and I sort of have found our niche in the different areas that we sort of look after and price and sell. Well, basically, I guess we sort of play it by ear a lot of times, and we just wing it. We have prices for a few different things, and a lot of the things that we feature for the week have a particular price. We have a really good special when it comes to clothes that are on all the table here. We have $5 bags, and so you fill a bag up for $5, and if you're energetic enough and you've got enough clothes to fill another bag, you get the second bag for free.
And what would be the most interesting item that you guys ever had here?
I think the most unusual item we ever got was a suitcase with a generator in it. It had about a 3,500 watt generator inside of it. We couldn't even move the suitcase. And the fellow had actually taken the generator apart. It was a brand new generator. He'd taken the frame off of it, put it into the suitcase, and he was attempting to get it to, I think it was Mexico.
I mean, obviously, I have many fond memories of our friendship and the good times we had. But I also have a lot of fond memories of very positive memories of the things that I've seen you do over the years and things that the airport chaplaincy has done. And it's funny, very few people know about the airport chaplaincy. Very few people know what it does and what a niche for need that it fills. And you do run into a lot of unfortunate circumstances. And what the officers did when they had these circumstances of people who didn't have anywhere else to turn was they called the airport chaplaincy. And, any time of the day or night, Lane would show up and he would find a way to help these people.
In the last about 10 years, the Canadian consulates or embassies from overseas will refer people to us who are being deported back to Canada, so that was sort of a new development at that time. But as the time and years have gone by, there's been an increase in different facets of what we're doing. About 10 years or so ago, I started the Fear Flying program. One lady came to me. She had been involved with a Air Canada, Trans-Canada Airlines it was at that point, flight that went off the end of the runway in Heathrow back in 1963, and she hadn't been able to fly for over 20 years after that event. So she came to me, and within 6 months or so, she was able to fly again, and now she flies regularly back to England.
Yeah, definitely like every couple days, a little bit of like, something kind of creeps up, like more because I've been flying back by myself. What if I freak out by myself? Like I'll have no one to kind of be like, hey, like, let's talk while the turbulence happens. So I'm a little nervous about that, but I think it's a good practice, and it's a good opportunity, free flight. And it's Ottawa, so it's not like, in Australia.
So is that non-stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to change planes?
No. So we fly over. I flew over with my colleague who's actually kind of taking his wife and their newborn baby as a tester to see how the baby will go. So they're sitting right in front of me, which is a good distraction.
For me, like I think somehow I just go from like, bump to plummeting to earth, to the earth.
Whereas,
stop that thought process.
So I think we're kind of like on different. You're kind of more like
definitely more like that.
Yeah.
I was down to the gate just a couple of days ago seeing a fear of flying student off, and a young lady came over and spoke to me, remembering fondly the fact that I had married her 3 years ago, and to announce to me that she is expecting her first child, and promised not for me not to tell anyone yet, so I won't mention her by name. I think old age is catching up with me. During the early days when I had the energy, I could come early in the morning and still come back by 7:30 to continue on the day. I find those days are long gone, and so I'm looking forward to passing the torch on to someone who is younger and more energetic.
Through the years, I've known Lane just working at the airport, and he's become a very close friend and a very good personal friend. I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss Lane terribly, and as I said, it's just going to be a little bit empty with Lane not here.
At the very beginning, they actually used one of our bar to do the service because they didn't have any space, and then they start moving into offices, and now they have a permanent home. You have nothing bad to talk about, I say about Lane. And Lane has been there for many years, and I know him for a long time. He's a great person, and he's pretty good with everybody. And he can joke. This is one of the things, he can take a lot of crap from everybody in the airport.
I just can't imagine anybody being able to, take his place, because he's just so gifted in all the areas of his background is so fitting for the role that he's taken on, but I'm sure there's someone out there.
Lane is a person that is available non-stop 24 hours, and when he gets calls in the middle of the night, he comes out to assist. So he's one of those rare persons who's available all the time.
But hopefully we'll be able to spend some time on the water. Going back to those original days of my youth, and certainly still involved with some phase of people work. Love people, love spending time with them. I'm sure there'll be some avenue where I will be able to continue that. It has been a glorious ride. I had a young African children's choir member. She was about 8 years of age, and on the way down to the gate, she was strutting along and singing happily with me and calling me Uncle Chaplain. And she said to me, "Do you tell people about God here, Chaplain?" And I said, "Well, yes, as a matter of fact, I do." And she said, "Just imagine that. They actually pay you to tell people about God. When I grow up, I want to be an airport chaplain just like you."